Welcome to ACC.13. You know, one of the neat initiatives of the college is the whole concept of fellows in training and then early career. And I'm pleased to be joined by two people that represent both of those. Andrew Freeman, you are chair of the early career section, is that correct?
Correct.
And then Scott Lilly, you're chair of the FIT committee, is that correct? So
Correct.
Scott, let me begin with you. Tell me a little bit about the FIT committee and the whole agenda of really the FITs.
Yeah, so the FIT committee exists to serve as a liaison between fellows and then ACC programs and administration. And we spent a lot of time this year trying to craft a meeting that was going to be valuable from a number of perspectives. And, I think this year's meeting, in comparison to past year's meeting, is more comprehensive, but at the same time more concise. We were able to create pockets in the FIT lounge and other spaces to address very specific interests of fellows, and we were also able to maintain the core programming that fellows need to see year after year.
And which sounds great. The concept of fellows in training being actively involved in the college. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's, as a fellow you want three things. You want to be educated, you want to find a job, and you want to have a mentor. All of those things are readily available within the ACC, and the more involved you get, the more you learn about those and the more you're able to utilize those tools. So it's not just a supplement to your training and your education, it can become your training and education.
That's super. I'll come back to that in just a second. Andrew, I had a chance to visit with you earlier, and I think the whole concept of the early career, tell me a little bit about that initiative because it sounds fabulous.
Sure, so it's a new initiative of the college, and as you may or may not know, there's 7,000 members in their early career, which we defined as those that are 7 years and before right out of training. And the big difference is, just like we all remember when we're fellows, we want as little work as possible, and when you leave, you want to take on as much as you can possibly handle and get right up to speed.
Right.
And so a lot of the issues that we face were not as well addressed until recently by the college, and so we created a section, we have a council, and we've created lots of work groups to address many of the issues, which I'm happy to discuss.
Yeah, let's go into that just for a second, because I want to know what are some of the, I think I know, but I'd like to hear from you, what are some of the challenges and the opportunities that people see in their early career?
Right, so the early career is a very interesting time. It's a transition from someone constantly looking over your shoulder and then it goes away. And so a lot of us are looking for mentorship, and sometimes even mentorship outside of our institution, particularly if you're the guy for whatever particular issue. Right. On top of that, many of us are also struggling with finding funding. For those of us in academics, and even those in private practice who want to do industry-sponsored research, many of us are having trouble getting that. And so we've created and crafted very carefully with lots of talented staff from the ACC some initiatives, and we're going to be revamping the college-wide mentorship program, and through a partnership with InfoEd, we'll have a sort of Google for grants.
That's cool, yeah.
So we'll be able to find funding that wouldn't necessarily always be readily available in the usual sources.
I mean, I think this is really a time of tremendous change, obviously, structurally for the practice of cardiology, financially, and all that stuff. Andrew, Scott, you mentioned some of the opportunities, but tell me more of the opportunities for the FITs here at the meeting.
There were small group mentoring sessions this year, so if you were interested in heart failure and didn't feel like there was a venue for you to find someone in their early career to discuss things with, that exists this year. We have a session called the Meet and Greet, where you have the luminaries of cardiology, the guys with their names on the front of the textbook, sitting at a round table and waiting for you to come up and introduce yourself.
Really?
And you can talk to them frankly.
They have autographs? They give out autographs?
I'm sure they would.
I'm kidding, but that's a great idea.
You get that opportunity really no other place.
So that's really good. And then, Andrew, obviously the early career is also undergoing a lot of change now. What do you see as some of the biggest priorities as you look forward at the section moving forward?
The biggest priorities for us is to engage our members, and so we've done a couple of very interesting things. Firstly, Scott and I together have worked on, and you may have seen, there's a new glossy CardioSource World News just for early career and FIT, which we've worked on jointly.
That's part of that, or is there now a whole new one?
It's a separate one that comes
I'm sorry, I have not seen that.
So that's one. Okay. And then two, we've gotten a lot of original content together to help guide our early career members, and we actually have a newsletter we've published, and it covers everything from what do you do with $1,000 to invest, to dealing with your first death as an attending, to everything in between.
Cool.
And then we have a really neat initiative where we've created a Facebook page, but not a normal Facebook page. It's actually a closed forum where you have to get access, given access to get in. And in that forum, we communicate two-way, bi-directional. So not only are some of the staff in there, but all of the council of the early career section, and then members. Anyone in their early career can come on in, and we discuss things like interesting cases and how to deal with administration in your institution and so forth. It's really been fantastic.
That's fabulous. I mean, I think as a fellow in training, then obviously being able to transition into this early career is good, but it's great that you've got the fellows in training engaged. So this sounds wonderful. Wish they'd had that when, back in the dark ages when all of us, because I think with the way medicine is practiced today, you really need this, and I think it's a great way for the college to really bond with with people coming out of early training. Thank you both for what you're doing, and thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll stay tuned for more from ACC 13.